This podcast is a quest for well-being, a quest for a meaningful life through the exploration of fundamental truth. Enlightening ideas, insights on physical, mental, and spiritual health. The inspiration is love. The aspiration is to awaken new ways of thinking that can lead us to a new way of being well. Welcome to Body, Mind, and Soul Healing Conversations.
The most powerful step you can take on your path to intuition is acknowledging and claiming your uniqueness. Our intuition is what makes all of us, including you, psychic, but frequently we don't get taught how to use our intuition. Intuition is just another word to describe an inner knowing that gives us information about this world and ourselves. Despite popular belief and Hollywood portrayal, being psychic doesn't look a certain way. Doctors are psychic, lawyers are psychic, moms are psychic, children are psychic. Maybe you've already known you're psychic, or maybe this is news to you. Either way, it's never too late to learn how to use your psychic abilities, and it is important, now more than ever, that you learn to use them because they can change the trajectory of this planet and your life. Throughout this book, we will discover our psychic talents and learn how to use them in our everyday lives. When we harness the power of our intuition, there's no limit to what we can do and create. Valeria Telis interviews Dr. Davie Jungen, the author of You Don't Look Psychic, Your Essential Guide to Tapping into Your Natural Powers. Dr. Davie Jungen is an internationally recognized speaker and expert in mind, body, spirit medicine. She is a family physician turned intuitive coach. After graduating, she started to understand that health had everything to do with emotions and the mind. Dr. Davie shifted from Western medicine to intuitive medicine and now uses her intuitive gifts to help people self-heal and expand. She coaches clients on health, relationships, money, and more. Dr. Davie also teaches many online classes, teaching people to tap into their own intuition, create greater happiness, and living their highest truth. She believes that our highest state of wellness lies in our connection with our true selves, our intuition, our innate knowing, and us living our authentic life. Dr. Davie is a celebrated author, media guest, and TEDx speaker. Meet Dr. Davie at drdavie.com. Here's the interview with Davie Jungen. In your own words, who is Dr. Davie Jungen?
Thanks, Valeria. Great question. So I'm a family physician, and I've become working now as an intuitive coach. So I work as an intuitive coach, helping clients connect with their own intuition, their deeper guidance, helping clients work through their issues and stuff. So I work one-to-one as well as in groups and workshops. So basically helping people align with their truest, highest potential.
What insights have you gained from events in 2020?
Right. So 2020, everyone just thinks of COVID, which is a great thing to think about, but it really is what it represents. So with COVID, a lot of us, struggled financially, emotionally, mentally, and a lot mentally. We're stuck at home. A lot of us are still stuck at home. And really, it's about going within to that place of love or joy or freedom or peace, which when we're really busy, we don't have ever time to do. So I've found a lot of people have actually used this time for inward searching, which is amazing. And the other part, there's so many layers of it, right? Is what you're doing in your life really waking you up and exciting you every day? Is what you're up to, your career, whatever you're up to, your marriage, is it something that you really want? And then another layer, again, I could go on and on. Another layer is this whole mask thing, right? To me, the mask represents our ego. I don't have a problem wearing a mask, but it's, am I going to be in fear or am I going to be in love? As soon as I remove the fear, I am just the essence of love. And so there's so many layers to it. The biggest of which is, what are you up to? Are you satisfied? Are you happy?
What is your own definition for health? What is to be healthy to you, Davie?
So healthy to me is an alignment of your mind, your emotions, your energy body, and your authentic self. And to me, every illness is a chance to look within. It's a chance to see what is out of balance here. Why am I running this rat race? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I thinking these thoughts I'm thinking? What's going on here? So I don't look at illness as a bad thing, just like I don't think the ego is a bad thing. It's part of our journey. And so when we can embrace illness and, look at it as an opportunity towards greater health, then it's such a gift. And health is that alignment, I would say.
How did you come to these profound understandings?
So my own personal journey, I luckily graduated medical school pretty young. I was 25 when I graduated. So being 25, 26 out there in the world working as a doctor, I still had a very flexible belief systems, right? And what I was doing didn't make sense. Constantly filling up prescriptions and referring, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with the medical model, but I never really saw people actually get better. They're all needed medication. They always need to come back. So I started to think, this is like a self-referring business system. Like, this is really interesting. And then I, got sick myself, which is a common journey a lot of us go through. I got sick with lots of illnesses that a pill couldn't take away, from chronic pain to allergies to food insensitivities, depression. And I just didn't want to take a pill because I'd seen everybody else do it, all these thousands of patients I'd worked with. So the only thing that helped me even temporarily were things like yoga and meditation. And then that began the journey of yoga and meditation for me. And then that spent my 30s essentially teaching yoga, running a yoga studio. And that really got my intuition cranked up, because, when you're teaching yoga and practicing yoga all day, every day, your intuition has to go up. And so then that led me in my 40s and now 50s into working as an intuitive. But it literally was a very gradual thing. And I think a lot of these awarenesses we can only have when we have to have the awareness for ourselves.
How do we know when we are being authentic, or when we are in that space of authentic self?
It's a process, but I always say to people, one of the ways is to know you're in your authentic self is because it feels good. Nothing inside your body vibrates differently. It feels like alignment. It feels like yes. It's like every part of your body feels like yes. And I think that's a big part of the work. And I'm sure you know this, Valerie. I'm sure a lot of your listeners know this. A lot of it's getting out of your mind and into your body and truly going within.
What would that be? The spirit component of the human being?
Yeah, that's our intuition. That's our divine awareness. That's our divine knowing. That's that little quiet voice that says, yes, take this path. Like for me, 25, I graduated medical school. It was something I wanted to do since I was 4 years old. Why at 30, 31 did I decide to take a detour? Because that little inner voice said, there's more for you. My logical brain made absolutely no sense, right? But you have to start to trust that little inner voice, even if your logical brain is trying to shut it down. That little inner voice is that true guidance. That's your soul speaking to you.
Why is that so small in comparison to the rational voice, the mental noise?
It's only a small voice until you make it louder, just because our mind is so loud. That's why so many teachers, including myself, teach meditation, because we have to have the mind step to the side. And when we do, then that intuitive voice can get louder. It can be our predominant voice. It can be the knowing, but at first it's a small little whisper, and it's there all the time, 24/7.
Would you say that trust might be the most important aspect of developing intuition?
Completely. It is about listening outside of the rational mind, and trusting you're 100% right is a big part of it. Is to trust that this message I'm getting is here to guide and help me.
I'm wondering when that it's not needed anymore, when it becomes, let's say, not automatic, but it's so part of you now that you don't need to practice or trying to distinguish which voice is which voice. Are you at that point?
Ask me on which day and which hour. Right?
Yeah.
Like really, it is really because we're human, right? We're humans,
Right.
and so I don't think we're ever there 100%. We go in and out, right? And I think that's the journey for each of us. And I'm there maybe more than I was 20 years ago. I can say that tick, right? And I think each of us go in and out of it, right? We're like, okay, yeah, this is the knowing, and then I'm not sure about that one, but that's why tapping into our intuition is such an essential thing that we want to do, because it is our superpower. It's the truth of who we are. So, yeah.
Would you say that when we access intuition, it always has to do with love?
Yeah, and sometimes, the intuition can be very much like, for example, don't marry this person. And you may take that as fear. Your rational mind may say, like, why not? Right? But ultimately, it's love. Ultimately, it's divine guidance. Ultimately, it's to take you to the higher journey of who and what you're supposed to be. But initially, it might feel like you might be a bit, taken aback by it. But ultimately, yes, it's all about love. It's all about that path.
What are some of the greatest misconceptions about intuition?
Oh, there's a lot. So one of the greatest misconceptions of intuition is that I don't have it, or I can't trust it, or it's always served me wrong, right? So intuition is our superpower. And, when we're younger, our mind is really loud. I have an almost 16-year-old son, and, his intuition is super loud, but so is his mind. So he says to me sometimes, how can I really trust this gut feeling? And because, how does this feel different than this voice? And it's really deciphering the two. So one of the biggest things that a lot of people think is, A, I'm not intuitive. B, when I get it, I can't trust it. And C, how is it supposed to help me? Right? So we have to work through these things so that we can really listen to that little voice. We all have it. We're all born with it. It's our natural superpower. But at first, it can, we have to learn to dance with the mind and dance with what it's trying to say to us.
Would intuition gives us reasons for that decision too?
Typically, no. I mean, reason, like getting logical is our brain, right? Try, like marry this person. Then we go, well, why? Here's the list, right?
Yeah, true.
For me, opening the yoga studio, it was, well, why? This is dumb. I'm not going to make a lot of money doing this. Am I insane? Right? And so there's the logical is us trying to try to explain it, right? But intuition is knowing. I think a lot of it is working through our shadows and our subpersonalities that keep that mind active, right? Why can't I have that? Well, because you're a girl. So why do I have that belief? Well, because my grandmother had it, my mother had it, and then we got to work beyond it. Even though our inner voice says, of course you can have that. So it's working with those shadows that we've received, that we've stepped into in our birth, and then also constantly listening to the inner voice, knowing that there's sometimes no rationale, because that's the human logic. But the more we trust it, the more we can go within. So like, I'll give you the example. We talk a lot about scientific examples in the book. When I was pulling up some science behind intuition, this is a common example a lot of us can relate to. We go to buy a car, a house, a big purchase, right? There have been studies that when you walk into that house and this is your house, if you trust that knowing rather than that list of pros and cons, they actually said 60 to 70% of people were like, there's a 70% greater happiness level if you trust it. If you're going through the logic, oh wait, well this place has in-floor heating, that's all those things, then we can talk ourselves out of that knowing. I want to be 70% happier any day. So if you trust that, it's going to tell you, like those big purchases, it's speaking to you, but we get logical, we get reasonable. We're like, oh, this list and that list. And that's just going to take us way off into the woods.
How is knowledge different from knowing, Davie?
It's a great question. So it depends which definition I look at. One of the ways intuition comes into us, we talk about what's called 4 primary clairs, or clairs are our way of receiving messages. So just for example, clairsentience is Almost everybody on the planet has clairsentience, which is the feeling. Everybody's got it. I should say almost. Everyone's got it. That feeling, the butterflies, the goosebumps, those are clairsentience. The clair you're referring to is claircognizant, which is a thought insertion. Okay. So the classic example I always use when I'm teaching this is, because it's happened to me hundreds of times. I'm out for a run or at the gym, and out of nowhere comes a thought, pay your hydro bill. That's claircognizance. That's a knowing. That's like knowledge. Now, the problem in our humanness is that we have the knowing of like, I did an internet Google research, and this is what I discovered. Well, is that's more logic and mind and, but knowing, claircognizance feels like it comes out of nowhere, and it's a knowing. It's an inner knowing. But as humans, we make up knowledge to me and the mass amount of information, and that's not knowing to me. Knowing is the inner divine truth that you just know. I know that I love this person. I know that this kid is amazing. That's inner knowing. That's the divine truth. That's your claircognizance.
And I love the idea of trusting, that knowing that we can come to that space one day as humanity. Although that might be the ego idea, right. Vision, right? This grandiose idea that we can all be happy and joyful and peaceful one day as humanity.
I would say it's coming more from the ego, because a big part of being in the human realm, and I know you know this, is knowing that there's dichotomy, hot and cold, rich and poor. It's our inner peace with our ego that's going to create more space for everything possible. And so we can't have peace without war. Unfortunately, it's part of the dichotomy on the planet, right? But we could have more health, more well-being, more love, and being okay with the opposite being here. That's really the key, being okay with the opposite being here. I'm okay that there's cold water because I know I have a choice for hot water, right? So it's being okay with both.
What do you think is the purpose of the human experience, Davie?
I believe the purpose of the human experience is to return to what humans call God, return to what humans call love or spirit or the divine, and to find our inner power within ourselves, to move beyond the voices that says we can't, is to connect with our truth and our knowing and be who we chose we would be to be on the planet. And the greatest way we can do it is through love, which is another representation of 2020 and COVID. How can I love my neighbor who I cannot even go and say hello to through this wall, through this door? How can I love? Yeah.
Did we choose to be here in a human body?
I always like to think yes. I would love to think yes, that we chose to come. We chose to be here. We chose that this is our journey. And I think when we actually choose that consciously, we come to peace with it too. There's a huge amount of being at peace with what's here that I think we all want to come to.
You wrote the book, You Don't Look Psychic, your essential guide to tapping into your natural powers. So 2 questions. How did you become a writer? And what was the main purpose of writing this book?
Sure. So I'm blessed to say I co-authored it with a woman named Lynette Brown, who's a very good friend of mine, and her and I teach classes together, and she's a wonderful woman. So, the first question: why did I write it?
How did you become a writer?
I believe, to be honest, all of us are writers. We're all storytellers. We all can write, right? So yes. It was, a gift of the divine through us. Why did I write it? Is because for me personally, intuition has saved my life, right? It is a life-saving thing. And as a physician, 25 years of like, go, be on the treadmill and go. Yeah. Beautiful life, but very much did not give to me. It was soul sucking rather than soul giving. Right. And I always say to people, if I can wake up my intuition, anyone can, right? And intuition is the gift that we're given in our divine knowing as a soul and a human. Okay. So I always say that, what would your life be if you could walk into a home that you're trying to buy and know this is your house and bypass your mind? Wouldn't you save so much time? Oh my God. Right. Sure. And so I believe that we've got our 5 senses that we all know: touching, smelling, hearing, so on, so forth. But this 6th sense is actually meant to serve us. And we sort of poo-poo it. We put it away. We get onto Google and try to figure everything else. And, one of my clients said she typed into Google, should I marry this husband? I thought, oh my gosh,
Yeah,
right?
that's great.
Right? And yet
Yeah.
the knowing is within you. It's inside of you. What would it be like to tap into that? So that's why I wrote the book.
I'm wondering if intuition will guide us to also do that through thoughts, to just search. Is that possible?
Oh, 100%. I'm joking about Google, but intuition can say, go search this, and it can lead you 100%, 100%. And just to go back to finish off the question, sorry, this is my intuition coming back in. Another reason we wrote the book was to demystify intuition. Okay. Lynette, my co-author, has a legal background. I've got a medical background. We're both kind of very normal people. People think intuition is like, oh, the woman in the black cape over there with a crystal ball, And so we wrote it to demystify, to marry the science behind intuition with the craft of building it. And so, yes, intuition can tell you, go research this on Google, and it's a path to take you where you are 100%. So your intuition can speak to you in those small steps towards the bigger thing you're looking for. Yes.
What is spirituality to you these days? How do you see the manifestation of that word?
It's a great question. So for me, spirituality is connecting with that presence of love that is inside of you. To look beyond the fear and to see what it's here to teach you. How can I be in this place of love right now? To me, that's what spirituality is. And I make it sound so simple. Theoretically, it is, but it's a process and it's work and it's a journey. But I believe spirituality is a returning to oneness, a returning to compassion, and a returning to seeing us as all one and as mirrors of each other.
So the words psychic and medium, to you, are they different or the same? They're all accessing intuition.
So medium specifically is a person who connects with these loved ones, right? Specifically. Yeah. But, a lot of people use them interchangeably. Not all psychics do mediumship work, right? So you can do intuitive work and not connect with deceased loved ones. And sometimes when you only connect with these deceased loved ones, you're not necessarily using your intuition right now for, again, I'm using this example over and over again, should I buy this house? Because you're always connecting to someone who was here on the planet before. So intuition is the now, in the now, in the now. And so the terms, are very individual. And as I said, we wrote the book so that everybody can realize that, yes, there's all these words, psychic, medium, all these words out there, but it's your knowing right now. What is your truth right now?
You say the most powerful step you can take on your path to intuition is acknowledging and claiming your uniqueness. Talk to me about that, being unique.
So each of us are unique. We have everybody has a different thumbprint. Everybody has a different eye color and, individual, those eye scanners. Everybody is different. And connecting with your uniqueness is connecting with that which makes you thrive and love. It might sound like we're pulling hairs, but Lynette Brown, the one I co-wrote the book with, and myself, we both practice intuition. We both have coaching practices and businesses. And yet, her uniqueness is she is profound at working with people and their businesses and helping their businesses grow. I'm fantastic at health, relationship, your alignment with yourself. We both can do what each other do, but my uniqueness is in what I do, and her uniqueness is what she does, even though from the outside it looks pretty darn similar. So your uniqueness is that which when you wake up, you're like, yes, this is what I can't wait to be and do and feel and have. And it comes so natural to you. It might sound silly as an example, but I'll use it. Obviously, Valeria, you're an incredible interviewer. That's your uniqueness. Get me to interview someone, forget it. I would cut them off. I'd be talking too much. Basketball players, same thing. The person who can take that basketball and shoot into the hoop over and over and over again and have that practice, that's their uniqueness. Everybody wants to find what their unique talent is, what their God-given gift is, and that is unique and individual to each of us. So finding it is important.
Does it relate to finding our purpose?
100%. A lot of people put a lot of emphasis on the word purpose, but I always think of your purpose as something that you would wake up and you would actually do for free. You wouldn't, just like, yes. It's just like, oh my God, I can't wait for somebody to understand this and feel good, and that might be cleaning somebody's home. It really, like, there are some people who absolutely love clean places. Awesome. That's your purpose. It doesn't have to be all hairy, fairy, and weird. It's what you feel is your passion and love. And it can change, right? For a decade of my life, I really thought my purpose on the planet was to teach people yoga. Awesome. And it shifted. Awesome. Right?
Talk to me for a moment about the ways to develop intuition. I know you mentioned practicing, just keep practicing, and trust is a huge component. You mentioned have fun and play, which sounds to me like letting go, just being surrendering to the moment. And breathe. How is the breath connected to intuition?
So breath is your connection to divine source. As soon as you stop breathing, your physical body, your soul will leave. Us breathing is our conscious connection to all that is. Okay. And so us breathing keeps us in the now, like consciously focusing on your breathing. It accentuates your parasympathetic nervous system. When your parasympathetic nervous system is accentuated, you're in that energy of play and flow because you're calm. You're not stressed out. And then when your parasympathetic is activated, you can be more in the knowing and like you can allow in the energy. And just go back to your thing about play. I think it's really, really important for listeners to hear. So when this is my personal story, but it's connected to what I'm about to say. Yeah. So the reason I decided to study intuition is because during the last few years of running the yoga businesses, my intuition kept going up. Like I would just know things. Like I'd be like, oh, I don't know if that person's going to stay in this job. Like somebody who had hired or something. Yeah. It's like, I don't know. Or that person's going to, and my husband was like, God, everything she says comes true. This is so weird. Like this Divvy, there's something going on here. That's when I decided to study. Now, I personally am a huge believer that in order to truly harness your intuition, courses are the best way, okay? Because practicing with somebody else makes it play and fun. When I'm trying to do an intuitive, like trying to get intuition for my family, it's like, oh, I got to get it right? We're so serious, right? So never practice intuition on your family, but take courses, play, have fun. Because what we do is if we're practicing intuition our own and we get it wrong, then the imposter ego comes in going, oh, see, I told you you couldn't do it. What's wrong with you? Whoever thought you were intuitive? Blah, 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 blah. But when you're in a group of people who are open-minded and loving, then what's going to happen is you're going to have a chance to play and dance with it. Of course, your mind's going to kick in, but let's just say you're working with somebody else and you say 20 things and 15 of them are right. And there was no way you knew that. Sure, you got 5, maybe a little bit off in the weeds, but 15 were right. That's huge.
True.
15, that's huge. Yeah. And you're only going to build that confidence when you're in a safe place practicing it. So all of those, practice, play, have fun, breathe, drink water are all part of it.
I love what you say here. You have these also the ways to prepare and hold space for intuition, which is wonderful. You give all these suggestions. Talk to me about some of them, Davie. I know you have about, I think, 12 of them suggestions in your book.
The book is amazing. So the book for your listeners, it's over 500 pages. It's, Lynette and I have worked together for over a decade. We've taught classes together for about 5 or 6 years now. And so the book is super comprehensive, right? Holding space, grounding, creating a room that you're comfortable in, calling in your guides, your divine support team. I'll just going to take a side note. Let's just say you want to practice your intuition in your business world, being in a safe room, knowing that your divine support team, your non-physical energies are there to support you. Welcome them in. All of these steps that we talk about in the book, we give steps for everything, are absolutely necessary for you to feel safe. And to go back to the word trust stands for to rely unto source totally. Super simple. If I can rely that there's a non-physical energy that's leading and guiding me, and I can create this space and feel safe in this place, then can I allow in that knowing? Again, it can be in a business meeting. It can be buying a home. It can be choosing your partner. It can be deciding what you're going to tell your kid. But trusting that inner knowing revolves around a lot of things from grounding, safe space, all of that, super important. And the more you do that, the more your whole life can be ruled by intuition, intuition can run your life. Yeah.
What a wonderful work. Thank you so much again.
You're welcome.
Beautiful
You're
work
welcome.
and necessary. It's a reminder for me too. Would you like to add anything or read a passage in your book before I ask you my final questions, Davie?
Sure. So this is off of me, not from the book. The one thing I would say to your listeners as we wrap up is trust love. Trust that it's inside of you. Trust that if you're having a hard time, things are chaos right now, the universe is trying to help and guide you through it. And sometimes the guidance can feel like, oh, right? And as you keep trusting and keep stepping forward, reaching out for help, asking professionals for help, then you will be guided. And I just keep hearing to say to your listeners, keep taking steps forward. That's the key. Just keep stepping forward.
If you knew you would die soon, meaning losing the body, would you make any change in your life or do anything in a different way?
I would travel, but I can't travel now.
Right.
I'm just razzing, right? Because we're 2021. I'm teasing a bit. Yeah, it's great. It's a really great question. If I would probably just take a bit more time off. The problem with my work is that it's my passion. So, I would take maybe a bit more time and spend more time with my son, who's now 16 and probably doesn't want to spend time with me. I'm joking. But, I don't think I would make any major differences other than possibly traveling more, which again, can't do right now. But no, I'd be relatively satisfied with what I've done so far.
And the last question is, what are 3 things about life you know for sure as of this moment?
3 things I know for life for sure as of this moment. I know that love is the primary emotion that is here on the planet. It's always, as Marianne Williams says, returning to love. That's one thing. Second thing I know very well is it's 100% up to me. I get to choose each moment, every day, which way I turn, to love or fear, which way I turn. The third thing I know is my divine support team is always with me 24/7. And it's up to me to turn to them. But in order for me to turn to them, I have to step away from fear. I have to step away from my mind. I have to turn to them and say, okay, here I am, help me. And they are there for me instantly. So those are the 3 things that connects to the interview as well, with the things I know right now.
Thank you so much for your intuitive wisdom, your love, your beautiful presence, your authenticity, the work, beautiful work you have done. Thank you for everything, Davie.
Thank you, Valeria. Thank you.
Where can we find more information about you, your books, products, services, and future projects?
It's super easy. I've got one main website, which branches to other, but my main website is drdavie.com, drdivi.com. Super simple.
Wonderful. I'll have that posted as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much again, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, Valeria.
Bye for now, Davie.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. To learn more about Davie Chandana and her work, please visit drdavie.com.
To learn more about this podcast, please visit fitforjoy.org/podcast. Thank you again for listening, and bye for now.